There's one thing narcissists never want you to realize. Your silence is their greatest fear, not your forgiveness, not your begging, but the moment you do nothing. No calls, no texts, no chasing the person who just discarded you like you meant nothing. Why? Because in the narcissist's mind, you're supposed to react. You're supposed to chase. You're supposed to prove they're still worth something. But when you break that pattern, when you hold your silence instead of pleading, you don't just regain your power. You force them to sit with what they've spent their whole lives avoiding the truth about who they are. In today's video, we're diving into what no one tells you in the textbooks. Why your silence drives the narcissist insane. What they really think when you don't chase. And how to turn your silence into your most powerful weapon for freedom. If you've ever been blamed, gaslit, or painted as the villain simply because you didn't react, this video is for you. Hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the very end, because today, you're not just going to understand why they walked away. You're going to understand why you don't need to follow. When you don't chase after a narcissist after they walk away, you're not just staying silent. You're dismantling the entire power system they've used to control you. You need to understand this. A relationship with a narcissist is never about mutual connection. It's a silent power game where your attention, your reactions, and your emotions become the supply that fuels their distorted ego. Every time you cry, every text you send after a fake breakup, every call you can't stop yourself from making, it's not love to them. It's a win. Not because they love you, but because they still have control. And then one day, you stop. You don't chase. You don't respond to the silence. You don't ask, what did I do wrong? You don't give them another chance to play the victim, and that's when they panic. The moment you don't chase them, they lose their scapegoat. Because before they could justify leaving by saying, you were too much, you were too controlling, you were the problem. But when you're silent, when you don't try to fix things, don't reach out, don't engage, their entire narrative collapses. There's no villain left to prop up their victim act. No place to hide from the guilt, shame, and emotional emptiness slowly rising inside them. Narcissists don't handle stillness well. They don't know what to do when you don't react. And that drives them insane. Picture this. They're staring at their phone, refreshing the screen, checking if their ringer is on. Why haven't they texted? Why haven't they begged? How dare they walk away from me first? In their mind, your silence isn't sorrow, it's an insult. Because it says, I've hurt enough. I'm done. I see you for who you are. And that's what makes them spiral. Because narcissists rely on being chased to regulate themselves. They don't want to face the truth that they messed up, that they were cruel, that they destroyed something meaningful. If you chase them, they get to tell themselves, see, I'm not that bad. They still want me. But when you're silent, they're left to whisper in their own head, I don't matter to them anymore. And that is unbearable. Your silence isn't weakness. It's a declaration of power. It's the moment you stop playing the victim, stop participating in their emotional game, and start standing in your truth. You don't have to fight. You don't have to explain. You just have to stand still and let the silence speak. I've had enough. If you've ever believed that your silence means nothing, think again. Because to a narcissist, it's the nightmare they can't control. And for you, it's the first step toward emotional freedom. At first, they think you're just playing the silent treatment. They assume they'll text me soon. One day passes, then two. Still no, I miss you. No late night calls. No signs that you're in pain. And that's when something starts shifting inside their distorted mind. Narcissists are never prepared for the possibility that you might actually walk away. They operate with the expectation that you'll always be there reacting, overthinking, unraveling after they leave. But when your silence becomes consistent, When they no longer receive emotional supply from you, their mask begins to crack. First comes confusion. What are they thinking? Are they mad? Are they testing me? They don't understand. They don't believe it. Because this is off script. A break from the predictable cycle they've repeated their whole lives. Then comes simmering anger. But this isn't the kind of anger that stems from missing you. It's the rage of losing control. They feel insulted, offended, not because you did anything wrong, but because you no longer orbit around their world. That's when they start reaching out, but not with honesty. They come with manipulation dressed as kindness. A vague text. Just making sure you're okay. A random call, I had a dream about you last night. A subtle comment on your social media designed to remind you they still exist. If you respond, they act like nothing happened. But if you remain silent, they escalate. Now comes the smear campaign, the role reversal. They never really loved me. I was the one who got hurt. I bet they've already moved on. They play the victim not because they're truly broken, but because they want your attention back. They need to be seen. They need confirmation. They need to return to the center of the stage, the one you walked away from. And if that still doesn't work, they lash out, publicly, cruelly, and without restraint. Because to a narcissist, being hated is still better than being forgotten. As long as they're still on your mind, they believe they still matter. But here's what you must remember. Every reaction they throw at your silence isn't a reflection of your guilt. It's a mirror of their discomfort with themselves. They're used to chaos. They're used to you breaking first. But now they're forced to face the truth they can't escape. And in that truth, you're no longer the victim, you're the one holding the power. If you're in this phase right now where they're reaching back out using every trick to break your silence, don't panic. Hit subscribe, because here you'll learn how to stand your ground against the emotional storms they send your way. Your silence needs no explanation. It is the loudest, clearest declaration of self-respect I choose to leave without playing the game. After the early days of turmoil, something strange yet powerful begins to happen. Staying silent no longer feels like effort. It becomes your new instinct. Your silence is no longer a tactic. It becomes a manifestation of transformation. You're no longer waiting for a message. You're no longer asking, do they regret it? You've stopped counting the days of silence, hoping something will return. And little by little, you realize you're finally coming home to yourself. You start sleeping better. You feel a lightness in your chest. The tension that once lived there is fading. You stop checking your phone 10 times a day. You no longer feel the urge to explain, to justify, or to decode their irrational behavior. Because now you understand. It wasn't that you weren't good enough. It wasn't that you messed up. It's that the relationship was never fair to begin with. In this extended silence, you begin to peel back the frozen layers of your emotions. What you once called love now reveals itself in a new light. Sweet words wrapped in control. Affection tangled with subtle insults. Empty promises repeated only to keep you hooked, not because they needed you, but because they needed what you gave. You once loved with all your heart. But now you're learning how to love yourself through silence. You start setting boundaries. You stop responding to bait. You're no longer driven by old memories. You observe them with clarity instead of attachment. You begin to realize peace doesn't come from keeping someone around. It comes from letting go of what continues to hurt you. And when you step into this space, the narcissist, if they're still watching, will feel that shift. They might make one last move, a casual message, just thinking of you, a half apology, a tempting offer to start over. But you're no longer the same. You don't need to slam the door. It's been quietly, permanently closed. You don't need revenge because you have what they never truly possessed, inner peace. If you're standing at this threshold, where you've not only left physically, but withdrawn your emotional energy from them. Understand this. You're not losing a relationship. You're being reborn. A new version of you is emerging, one no longer driven by fear, desperation, or the need to be loved at any cost. Hit that subscribe button if you're on this healing journey and ready to keep growing stronger from the inside out. Because here you are, not a victim. You are someone who chose silence, and in doing so chose yourself. But breaking up with a narcissist has never been easy. And when they sense that you're beginning to heal, they come back. Not with genuine apologies, not with true remorse, but with a new campaign, one disguised in sweet words, romantic gestures, and disturbingly convincing fake regret. Psychologists call it Lovebombing 2.0. Unlike the first phase of the relationship, where you were overwhelmed with compliments, grand promises, and destined love, this time they return with a much clearer purpose: to pull you back under their control, because your healing is a direct threat to their narcissistic ego. You survived without them. You didn't react. You didn't come back. And to them, that's unacceptable. So they shift the strategy. You might start receiving messages like, "I was wrong. I've never stopped loving you. I can't sleep thinking about the terrible things I did to you. I've started therapy. I'm trying to change for you. No one ever made me feel the way you did." And if you respond, even just a little, a question, a kind reply, or even an emoji, they know the door isn't completely shut. And once that door is cracked open, they kick it wide with emotional theatrics and over-the-top promises. They might cry, beg, or pretend to fall apart. They'll do anything to make you believe this time will be different. But ask yourself, what happened last time? How many times have you forgiven? How many times have you believed? And what did you get in return? The same cycle, the same pain repackaged in prettier words. Love bombing is not love. It's a psychological weapon designed to dismantle the emotional defenses you've built with blood tears and hard-earned strength. It doesn't come from the heart. It comes from a wounded ego. Not because they miss you, but because they can't stand losing control. Not because you're special, but because you dared to escape their suffocating grip. And when you recognize that, you'll start to see through the sweetness. You'll hear the calculation behind every "I love you." You'll see the performance behind each tear. You'll feel their fear, the fear of no longer being able to control you. So what should you do when they return with this new love-bombing campaign? 1. Don't react immediately. Give yourself space. Reread the journal entries you wrote when you were hurting. Ask yourself honestly, do you miss them or the idealized version of them you once hoped for? 2. Name your real emotions. They may trigger your loneliness. They know exactly where your wounds are. But feelings aren't always truth. Missing someone doesn't mean you should return. 3. Remember, healing is a journey, not a moment. You've come so far. Don't let a few sweet words drag you back to the starting line, or worse, to a deeper place of pain than ever before. And never forget, real love doesn't need to be launched as a campaign to survive. It's steady. It's patient. It doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't ask you to prove anything. It doesn't need performance, and it definitely doesn't repeat the harm it once caused. If you're facing the return of a narcissist, don't rush your decision. Hit subscribe and stay here with us. Because on this channel, you won't be fooled by sugar-coated lies. You'll learn to see the truth beneath the surface. And you'll be reminded every day that no one has the right to hurt you over and over again in the name of love. When the strategies of love, sweetness, or promises no longer have the power to soften your heart, the narcissist will swiftly shed their charming mask to reveal their true face. But this time they do not act alone. Instead, they summon an entire army of minions known as flying monkeys to carry out indirect attacks, smear your reputation, and terrorize you psychologically. This is not merely an act to hurt you, but a meticulously calculated tactic to maintain control even when you have resolved to walk away from them. The narcissist knows full well that you are starting to see through their facade. They recognize that you are no longer easily manipulated, no longer reacting to their enticements or emotional theatrics as you once did. Your silence, your refusal to engage in their psychological games throws them into a state of panic. For a narcissist, attention is their lifeblood, and when you withdraw that attention, they feel their power is under threat. To compensate for this loss, they turn to those around them, mutual friends, family members, even their new romantic partners as tools to approach you indirectly. These individuals, whether unwittingly or willingly, become flying monkeys, puppets in the hands of the narcissist, used to attack you without the narcissist having to take direct responsibility. The narcissist's tactic often begins with constructing an emotionally charged but entirely fabricated story. They will tell those around them that they are the true victim, that they have been deeply wounded by your coldness, callousness, or even betrayal. They paint you as a cruel person who abandoned them after they tried their hardest to salvage the relationship. These stories are told with feigned sincerity, preying on the emotions of their listeners, making it easy for others to believe and side with the narcissist. These flying monkeys, whether they are mutual friends, family members, or even strangers on social media, become instruments for the narcissist to attack you while keeping their hands clean. Imagine one day receiving a message from an old friend. Why have you been treating them so badly lately? Or you suddenly notice a comment on social media from a stranger. You don't deserve them at all. Even a family member might call you, their tone laced with suspicion, asking, "Is it true that you abandoned them?" These questions and criticisms are not random. They are part of a game orchestrated by the narcissist from behind the scenes. They sit in the shadows watching your reactions, waiting for you to get angry, explain, or defend yourself. Every time you react, whether with anger or sadness, you inadvertently give them what they crave: your attention and control over your emotions. Why does the narcissist need flying monkeys? The answer lies in the shifting dynamics of the relationship. When you start setting boundaries, when you refuse to continue providing the attention or emotions they feed on, they become disoriented. Your silence is a powerful blow to their ego. They cannot accept that you are no longer caught in the whirlwind of drama they create. Thus, they need others to keep stirring your emotions to pull you back into the game they've designed. These flying monkeys not only help them maintain pressure on you, but also reinforce the victim image they have carefully crafted. By convincing those around them that they are the ones who have been wronged, the narcissist not only gains the crowd's support, but also makes you feel isolated, misunderstood, and attacked from all sides. Moreover, the narcissist's ultimate goal is to make you crumble. They want to prove that they still hold power over you, that you cannot escape their control. If you cry, get angry, or try to explain and refute the slander from the flying monkeys, you've unwittingly fallen into their trap. Every negative reaction from you is a victory for the narcissist, as it proves you are still controlled by your emotions and still affected by their actions. Conversely, if you choose silence, stand firm, and refuse to be drawn into the drama, they lose their bearings. Your strength and peace are what they fear most, as they demonstrate that they no longer have influence over you. So what should you do to counter these indirect attacks? First and foremost, you must cut off all sources of information related to the narcissist. This means not allowing anyone, whether mutual friends, family, or acquaintances, to act as a conduit for news from their side to you. Every piece of information, no matter how trivial, can be a trap to pull you back into the emotional vortex. Be bold in refusing conversations about them, even if others try to pique your curiosity. You don't need updates about their life, because what you truly need is peace within your soul. Second, do not try to justify or explain yourself. Those who have chosen to believe the narcissist's story are often not ready to hear the truth. They have been ensnared in the web of lies and emotions the narcissist has spun. Trying to argue or prove you're right will only exhaust you and give the narcissist more opportunities to manipulate you. Instead, focus on your own healing journey. Dedicate your time and energy to rebuilding your life, reinforcing your values and beliefs. Your growth and peace will be the most powerful proof that you have overcome their influence. Finally, remember that the narcissist only needs an army when they fear your strength. Your silence, resilience, and ability to stand firm against their indirect attacks are what make them panic. They want you to collapse to return to the role of a controlled victim. But when you choose not to react, not to be drawn into the drama, you have already won. You don't need to fight back, because your true victory lies in no longer needing them, no longer being bound by the negative emotions they try to sow. The journey to break free from a narcissist is never easy. It demands patience, courage, and a commitment to yourself. The flying monkeys may appear in many forms, from public criticisms to subtle, insinuating messages, but always remember that you have the power to control your own story. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The truth will always be the truth, and those who truly care about you will see it without needing your explanation. Keep walking your path, no matter how hard the narcissist tries to pull you back. They may deploy an entire army to attack you, but your real strength lies in choosing to stand firm and protect your energy. Let your growth, peace, and self-respect be the guiding flame, proving that you have surpassed them, not just in this battle, but in the entire journey of living a free and fulfilling life. However, always remember this: a narcissist will never give up on their intention to drag you back into their manipulative quagmire, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, or even longer. As long as you show the slightest vulnerability, as long as you crack open even a single door in your heart, they will not hesitate to barge through the rest of the way to invade your life once again. Therefore, completely cutting off all contact with them is not just an option. It is a prerequisite for protecting your peace and freedom. However, before taking this drastic step, you must ensure that you are thoroughly prepared both mentally and practically. And most importantly, do not reveal your plans to anyone, as even the most trusted individuals could unwittingly become a conduit for information to reach the narcissist. Completely cutting off contact, often referred to as no contact, is a powerful strategy, but it is far from easy. Narcissists are relentless in their efforts to maintain a presence in your life, whether through unexpected messages, indirect inquiries via mutual acquaintances, or even deliberate appearances at places you frequent. They do this not out of genuine care for you, but because they need to maintain control. Your presence in their mind is a source of energy, the so-called narcissistic supply that they cannot live without. When you decide to sever all contact, you are stripping them of this energy, which makes them feel more threatened than ever before. However, implementing no contact is not as simple as blocking a phone number or removing them from your social media friend list. Narcissists have a terrifying ability to adapt, and they will find every possible way to bypass the barriers you set. They may use intermediaries, the flying monkeys mentioned earlier, to reach you. A mutual friend might casually bring them up in conversation. A family member might be persuaded to pass on a message from them. They might even orchestrate unexpected situations, such as showing up at an event they know you'll attend, just to stir your emotions. For no contact to be truly effective, You must establish a firm boundary not only with the narcissist, but also with anyone who could potentially become their tool. Before cutting off contact, you need to prepare thoroughly. This means understanding exactly why you need to do this and mentally bracing yourself for the challenges ahead. Narcissists are adept at targeting your emotions, making you feel guilty, regretful, or even doubtful about your decision. They might send emotionally charged messages like, "I just want to apologize one last time," or "I just want to know if you're okay." Do not be fooled by these words. They are not rooted in sincerity, but are part of a manipulative tactic to pull you back in. Remind yourself that you deserve to live a life free from toxic psychological games. In addition to mental preparation, you must also prepare practically. This includes reviewing all the channels through which the narcissist could contact you. Block their phone number, email, and all their social media accounts. If you share mutual friends, be cautious about sharing personal information, as these individuals could unintentionally or deliberately leak your details to the narcissist. If you live near them or frequent the same places, consider changing your routines at least in the early stages of going no contact. For example, if you used to visit a coffee shop, you both frequented, find a new place to avoid unwanted encounters. Another critical aspect is keeping your plans confidential. Do not disclose your intention to completely cut off contact with the narcissist, even to those you trust. The reason is simple: narcissists are skilled at manipulating even those who are not directly involved with you. A close friend might accidentally let slip information, or a family member might be swayed by the narcissist's victim narrative. By staying silent, you minimize the risk of your information being leaked and ensure that the narcissist has no opportunity to interfere with your plans. Once you've cut off contact, be prepared for the narcissist's reactions. They may become angry, desperate, or even feign remorse to lure you back. This is the phase where they will employ every trick in the book to pull you back in from threats to pleas. They might send handwritten letters, show up at your workplace, or attempt to reach you through people close to you. The key is to remain steadfast. Do not respond to any messages, do not engage in any conversations, and do not let yourself be drawn into the situations they create. Every reaction from you, no matter how small, is a victory for them, as it proves they still have influence over you. During this process, you may feel lonely or isolated. This is entirely normal, as narcissists are skilled at making you feel like you're up against the world. They have built a network of people who believe their story, and you may face criticism or questions from those around you. Remember that you do not need to explain or justify your decision. Those who truly care about you will understand and respect your boundaries. Instead of wasting energy arguing with flying monkeys, focus on rebuilding your life. Seek out healthy relationships, engage in activities that bring you joy, and invest in your personal growth. A crucial part of this journey is learning to forgive yourself. Many people who have been in a relationship with a narcissist feel guilt or shame for allowing themselves to be manipulated for so long. Remember that you are not at fault. Narcissists are masters at concealing their true nature, and the fact that you were once caught in their web says nothing about your worth. Instead of blaming yourself, recognize that choosing to cut off contact is a courageous step, proving that you are reclaiming control of your life. Take time to heal. This might involve seeking support from a therapist, joining support groups for those who have experienced toxic relationships, or simply taking time to rediscover yourself. Journaling, meditation, or engaging in creative activities can help you process complex emotions and rebuild your self-esteem. Remind yourself that you are on the right path, and every day that passes is a step closer to freedom and peace. Finally, always remember that your true strength lies in choosing not to react, in refusing to be pulled back into the narcissist's quagmire. They may continue trying for years, waiting for a moment of weakness to worm their way back in. But when you hold firm to your boundaries, when you refuse to play their game, you send a clear message you are no longer their prey. Your growth, resilience, and peace are the most powerful evidence that you have won. You don't need to fight back because your true victory is living a life that is free, happy, and no longer bound by the negative emotions they try to sow. Ending a relationship with a narcissist is never just a breakup. It's a quiet war between truth and illusion. A painful journey you must walk not just to leave them, but to peel away the layers of manipulation they carved into your mind. They will use every tactic to pull you back under their control, disappear, and suddenly reappear. Love you, then emotionally wound you. Attack, then beg. And if none of that works, they'll send in their army, the flying monkeys, to drag you back one more time. But you are no longer the person you once were. Because if you've made it to the end of this video, that means you're already walking the road to recovery. You don't need to defeat them. You just need to stop playing the game they designed. They will never admit you were right. They will never apologize the way you deserve. And they will never return the years you lost loving them. But you don't need that anymore. You don't need closure from them. You need forgiveness from yourself. And you need to keep moving forward. Hit subscribe. If you're on this journey of healing, if you're building the strongest, freest version of yourself. Because here we don't just talk about pain, we speak of rebirth.